as they are inducted into the DECC Athletic Hall of Fame, class of 2019. This year's inductees are athletes, coaches, officials, and administrators who have played their roles exceptionally well and made possible the stories that inspire us. Stories of perseverance, enduring passion, self-sacrifice, dedication, discipline that shaped the legacy of Bob Davison, Willard Eichela, Tom Curvers, Lori Ogren, Mark Sertich, and William Wertman. It was an honor for me and the whole Denny family of ski jumpers to be recognized in 2010. When Scott Keenan called me in March to speak about speaking tonight, I started to think about what I might say. And the theme came to me of purpose and how it guides us in our lives, both in sport and beyond. So think about, what does purpose mean? And I kind of Googled or looked at Webster, and the best definition I came across was the reason for which something is done or created, or for which something exists. Thomas Carlyle once said, "The man without a purpose is like a ship without a rudder." So you think about, we're getting into summer, as you imagine sailboats out on Lake Superior on Wednesday nights without rudders. How would they navigate the course? Understanding that life is not an accident, that we are created for a purpose that gives us hope and meaning all the days that we're on this earth. I'd like to illustrate with a couple of stories. The first story was told in the 1981 British historical drama film called Chariots of Fire. I'm sure many of you, if not all of you, have seen that movie. Certainly a favorite movie of mine. It tells a fact-based story of two athletes in the 1924 Olympics. Eric Liddell, a devout Scottish Christian who runs for the glory of God, and Harold Abrams, an English Jew who runs to overcome prejudice. Eric lived a purpose-driven life, and at one point in Eric's story, he was walking with his sister Jenny, and it was kind of when he was feeling called in his missionary work, but also in his athletic endeavors. And he declared to Jenny, he says, "I'm going back to China. I believe that God made me for a purpose for China, but He also made me fast. And when I run, I feel His pleasure. To win is to honor Him." Those are just some really powerful words as he spoke that. Eric went on to qualify to represent Britain in the 1924 Olympics in Paris. And as he was boarding, the team was boarding the ship to cross the channel, a sports writer shouted out to Eric, "What about the qualifying heat on Sunday? Can you beat the Americans?" All of a sudden, the dilemma, the pressure to compromise was front and center. You see, Eric's dilemma wasn't the Americans. That wasn't a threat to him. It was his deep-held convictions that did not allow him to run on Sunday when that first heat was going to be. Of course, the British Olympic Committee leaned on Eric to abandon his convictions for the sake of his loyalty to the country. Even the Prince of Wales showed up to add some pressure to the debate. Eventually, the solution was found. Eric would change events to the 400 meter rather than the 100 meter. While it seemed like a great solution, I'm sure those runners in the crowd, to move from a sprinter in a short distance race to running a 400 meter is not an easy undertaking. Reflecting back on that debate, one of the members of the committee said, "Eric's speed is a mere extension of his life. We sought to sever his running from himself. No sake is worth the sacrifice of conscience, especially a guilty national pride." Eric went on to win not only one medal, but he won the bronze medal in the 200 meter, and he won the gold medal in the 400 meter, which was highly unexpected given the race that he really specialized in. And then after the Olympics, he went back on to his calling, his purpose, to be a missionary in China for about 20 years. And he died in a Japanese concentration camp at the end of World War II. So how has purpose steered my vessel? Through all my callings in life as husband, father, ski jumper, CPA, my purpose is best described in the words of a wise proverb by Solomon, who was a king of Israel. He said, "Trust in the Lord with my whole heart, and do not lean on my own understanding. In all my ways acknowledge him, and he will make straight my paths." Success in sports and other endeavors, when motivated solely by fame and fortune, is fleeting. Once obtained, our hearts desires more. The feeling of the big win lasts only until the next game or the next competition. Yet the draw of both fame and fortune are difficult to resist. Let me give you a quick illustration of how my life purpose sustained me amidst some adverse circumstances. From a very young age, growing up at Chester Bowl, I had a dream of being an Olympic champion. It was all around me. The young fellows that went before me were on Olympic teams, and I saw the path. By 1979, I had been leading the U.S. jumping team for 4 years with several international victories. In 1979 also, I was third place in the pre-Olympics at Lake Placid, which led ABC to follow me around the halls of UMD and around Duluth, filming their up close and personal segment that would air during the games. Kind of heady stuff. So the stage was set for what was expected to be kind of a glorious year in my ski jumping career. I had already determined that it would be my last at competing at that level before I started a family with Sue and began my CPA career. To say that the season didn't begin as expected would be a gross understatement. Despite all the training and preparations and years of getting to that level, I was not able to find my form in 1980. Results were dismal. And 2 weeks before opening ceremonies in Lake Placid, I was exhausted and actually left the circuit and went home to rest. The first competition in Lake Placid was what we call the normal hill, or the 70 meter. Finished far down the list, far down from what I finished 4 years earlier in Innsbruck. And so the result was a kind of a huge disappointment. Easy to lose hope and become discouraged in those circumstances. However, I continued to train. I had a wonderful chaplain in the village that we prayed often together with during the week. And had an opportunity to take in a few events with Sue, who was staying with her parents, and some newspaper friends in Lake Placid. So the practice days that then preceded the large hill, or the 90 meter event, each day seemed to get a little bit better. I'm starting to claw my way back, or climb my way back to some level of form, yet anyone knows in any sport where you're trying to make that climb up, you lack the consistency, the confidence, and so that was certainly something that, to me, relied on my faith to see me through that. But sometimes our best performances rise out of the swamp of adversity. On the eve of the large hill competition, the world around me starts to crumble. My coach of the past 5 years was fired. My assistant coach showed up at the competition drunk, and my teammates were in rather an amount of discord that was really difficult. However, driven by deep purpose and why I was there and what I was called to do, these conditions did not become distractions. In fact, I was not even aware that they had taken place until after the competition. After my second jump, I looked up at the scoreboard and I saw my name. It was in 5th place. At that point, kind of realizing, well, my dream of an Olympic medal was not going to happen. I'm in 5th place at that time. But surprisingly, though, I felt like a champion. 8th place in the large hill was certainly my best result in that year in 1980. It was in fact the best result since 1924 when American Anders Haugen won the bronze medal in Chamonix, France. That evening, Sue and I attended the medal ceremony in Mirror Lake. While I was not on the podium, I felt a deep sense of joy as we were preparing for the next chapter. In conclusion, I challenge you to think about your purpose. What is the rudder of your life vessel? I have learned that it's not about me. I think like Eric Little, I have learned that in whatever I do, to work at it with all my heart, as working for the Lord and not for the fame and fortune. I'd like to thank the committee for inviting me to share a few words with you tonight, and congratulations to all of the inductees this year.